Welcome back, babes. We love you. And honestly, we hope this week is fucking amazing for you. Cheers to good vibes, love, and tons of mess, but not like mess in your life, mess on TV.
Oh, cheers to that, absolutely. And cheers to the absolute chaotic state we are currently recording in right now.
Yeah.
Like, I know you are listening to us, probably commuting or, doing your aesthetic skincare routine, but you really need to visualize the reality of what is happening in this room.
It is giving pure, unadulterated self-care.
It is giving hostage situation. The aesthetic is heavily compromised.
I completely disagree. I think it is the ultimate, post-vacation wellness queen, soft life aesthetic. We are glowing. We are hydrating.
We look like we fell headfirst into a vat of industrial mayonnaise. I mean, let's just give you, the listener, the harsh reality check of what you're tuning into today. We are both wearing incredibly stained, oversized hoodies that have absolutely seen better days.
Mine is vintage.
Yours has a literal salsa stain from 2022. We are drinking $9 wine out of glasses that don't even match. And most importantly, we are both currently marinating in a thick, greasy Cardi B hair mask.
Completely sealed in with those crinkly plastic hotel shower caps. It is a vibe.
It's a tragedy. We look deranged.
It's called self-care. Look, after returning from a mini vacation, self-care is not an option. It is a strict requirement. You cannot just jump back into the grind without a buffer.
A mayonnaise buffer.
Yes. We have to reset our auras. I am romanticizing the chaos, okay? If you don't actively romanticize the mundane, it will absolutely crush you.
But this isn't like a goop editorial layout. We look like we are in apocalyptic survival mode. If someone broke into the apartment right now, they would immediately turn around and leave out of pure pity.
Well, good. Built-in security system.
The only reason we are covered in this hair goop is because we are holding onto the weekend by our absolute fingernails. The post-vacation reality slap is hitting with the force of a freight train.
Oh my God, don't even say it. Do not even bring it up. I am actively trying to block it out.
I have to. You need to know the depths of our despair today. Because tomorrow morning, at 9 a.m. sharp, we both have to be sitting in the dental office.
It makes me want to cry.
Sitting under those blinding, clinical fluorescent lights, getting our teeth aggressively scraped by a woman who will absolutely judge my flossing habits.
It is so violently unfair. Seriously, I was scrolling TikTok today, and I just went down this massive existential spiral. But you see these videos, right?
Oh, the aesthetic morning routines. I know exactly what you mean.
Yes. Like, why are some people out here on this very same planet making sourdough bread from scratch in perfectly pressed, wide-leg linen pants at 10 S on a random Tuesday?
While we are setting 4 different alarms just to make sure we don't sleep through a literal dental cleaning.
Exactly. I mean, is the universe actively playing favorites? What is the metric for who gets the soft life and who gets the struggle?
Well, first of all, the soft life that you see online is a highly curated lie. It's an illusion of effortless existence.
Is it, though? Because her linen pants looked really soft.
No one is naturally waking up in linen with a perfect, bubbling sourdough starter while a gentle breeze blows through their open window. It's a manufactured aesthetic. It's either manifested through immense generational wealth, which means someone else did the struggling for them 100 years ago, or it's pure dumb luck.
Or they are in massive credit card debt.
Exactly. They are secretly drowning in debt to afford the aesthetic of peace. There is no in between.
I mean, honestly, I want the dumb luck. I am not above accepting unearned blessings. I want to be the girl watering her ridiculously expensive Monstera plant while a matcha latte froths itself in the background.
Instead, you're sitting here with a shower cap on, dreading the hygienist.
Knowing full well I only flossed the week before the appointment. It's humiliating.
It's the human condition. But, to cope with our struggle life and to help you navigate whatever chaos you're locking into this week, we decided to look to the stars.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Babes, we thought it'd be fun to predict your horoscopes for the wet. And by predict, we mean absolutely make them up in spiral.
Pure delusion. We are unqualified to read the stars.
Completely unqualified. But let's get right into the messy horoscopes anyway. If you are listening right now and you are an earth sign Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, listen to me very closely.
Oh, boy.
I am looking directly into your soul. You are about to draft a text to an ex or a highly toxic situationship this week.
Oh, they totally are. It's the retrograde energy.
Exactly. I could feel the energy building. You are going to sit on your couch on Thursday night and convince yourself that, just checking in is a mature, evolved thing to do.
You're going to tell yourself you're just being friendly?
Yes. Do not do it. Delete the draft. Throw your phone in the nearest body of water. It is a trap of your own making because you are bored and seeking a dopamine hit from chaos.
See, I completely disagree with that advice.
What? Are you insane?
If you are an Earth sign, I say hit send. Lean into the destruction. Let them ruin their own week for the plot.
No. Protect your peace.
Life is entirely too short to sit around wondering what if. We need the entertainment. You want to text the guy who ghosted you in October after 3 incredible mediocre dates? Do it. Ask him what he's eating for dinner. Let the chaos reign.
You are a menace. Do not listen to that advice. Okay, what about the fire signs? Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. What is their chaotic destiny this week?
Fire signs, listen up. The universe is actually going to bless you this week. You will receive an unexpected windfall of money.
Oh, I love that for them.
Wait for it. Maybe it's a bonus at work, maybe it's a Venmo from a friend, whatever. But, and this is a massive but, you will immediately waste every single cent of it on absolute delusional online shopping.
Yeah.
I'm talking a $200 aesthetic water bottle that you absolutely do not
I
need.
feel so attacked right now.
Or a matching pastel workout set for a Pilates studio you do not attend and have no intention of attending.
I literally just bought a ridiculously expensive insulated cup in a color called eucalyptus, and I have zero regrets. It makes my tap water taste expensive.
You are the problem. Okay, what about water signs?
Okay, water signs. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. You are officially entering your villain era at work this week.
Yes, burn it down.
You have had enough. The people-pleasing programming is officially breaking down. It is time to respond to every single aggressive message with, per my last email.
And attach a screenshot.
Literally attach the screenshot.
Yeah.
And you are logging off, shutting the laptop, and walking away at exactly 4:59 p.m. Not a minute later. Protect your peace through petty corporate behavior.
Honestly valid. I fully support the corporate villain era. It is essential for survival. And finally, air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius.
What are they doing?
You are going to experience a massive main character moment this week. You're going to feel like you're in a rom-com montage. The wind will blow through your hair. Your outfit will be absolutely giving. People will stare at you in the grocery store.
Love a montage.
But be warned, this high will last exactly 48 hours before the absolute consequences of your unhinged actions catch up with you.
Oh, the crash is going to be brutal.
You cannot live in the montage forever. Eventually, the plot has to resume, and you will have to answer for the things you said while you were feeling yourself. Proceed with caution.
The accuracy of these is terrifying, considering we literally just made them up. But speaking of, like, consequences and life spirals, I feel like we need to transition from fake astrology to a very real-life update. Because you dropped an absolute bomb on me before we hit record today.
I did. I really did.
And I think we need to process it on air. Because I'm still spiraling.
Yeah. Okay, I need to confess something, because if I don't say it out loud, I'm just going to keep carrying it around. I am currently experiencing a very real, very severe quarter, or maybe third, depending on how long I actually live, life crisis.
It's a full spiral. We are in the trenches of the human experience right now.
We are, and I am genuinely, seriously considering dropping from full-time dentistry down to part-time.
Which, okay, I need you to know that my emotional reaction to this is fully, completely supportive of your happiness. But my secondary reaction is absolute, sheer logistical panic. I am freaking out about the math.
I know.
Like, do it. Absolutely live your truth. But wait, what about money? How do we afford the $9 wine and the Cardi B hair masks if you cut your income in half? How do you afford to exist in this economy?
Because the burnout is so incredibly real. And it's not just about being tired, it's an existential exhaustion.
Right.
The transition into your 30s is just wild, because suddenly you start questioning every single societal expectation that you blindly, willingly accepted in your 20s.
You wake up and you're like, wait, whose life is this?
Exactly. You wake up one day and think, why am I doing this? Why did I agree to this framework? Why am I working 40 hours a week under bright fluorescent lights, staring into people's mouths, dealing with their anxiety and their terrible flossing habits?
Hey, I feel targeted.
You should. But honestly, life is simply too short to be miserable. I want the soft life. I want to wake up and bake the sourdough. I want to read a book in the middle of a Tuesday. I want to own my time.
But the stability, the dental benefits, the predictable, reliable paycheck.
It's a trap, though.
It's the classic human battle, right? It's stability versus happiness. It's the fear of making a massive change and completely ruining your life versus the paralyzing fear of staying perfectly stagnant and realizing at 80 that you wasted your life.
It is terrifying.
And there was no correct answer. Because both choices require you to sacrifice something huge.
Exactly. It's this overwhelming desire to just literally escape your current timeline. You look at the trajectory of your life, you see exactly where the track is heading, and you just want to pull the emergency brake and jump off the train.
Which, honestly, that is the most perfect bridge into today's absolute mess of a TV recap.
It really is.
Because that exact feeling, that destructive illusion of escapism, the desperate need to abandon your reality for a soft life or a different timeline entirely, that is the exact psychological trap that the characters are caught in this week.
They are literally physically time traveling to avoid the pain of their present-day trauma.
And this week, we see the exact moment that escapism turns deeply, deeply toxic.
Toxic.
Biggs, we are avid viewers, we are fully delulu, and we need to talk about the absolute whiplash of this episode. Season 4, Episode 3, Dust in the Wind.
I am still recovering.
Right. To understand the scope of this episode, we have to start by analyzing the 1920s chaos. Because Kat, unable to deal with the overwhelming stress of her present-day reality, decides to take a little vacation.
She jumps into the pond and goes back to 1925.
Where she is hanging out with Fern. And they go to this secret speakeasy, complete with the cliché password at the door.
The password door is such a trope, but I love it.
Oh, the aesthetic of the 20s in this show is so visually stunning. The costume design, the lighting, it's gorgeous. And we have to take a second to give a massive shout out to Bianca Melchior, who plays Fern.
She is incredible.
Right. Because she gets up on that stage at the Speakeasy and performs these amazing musical numbers, and she actually choreographed all her own dances for the show.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes. The talent is unreal. It brings so much authentic energy to the scene.
She is incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And the performance is mesmerizing. But we cannot let the glitter and the fringe distract us from the massive, glaring neon sign of a clue that happened during that performance.
Oh my God, the song.
Because it shatters the entire reality of the timeline. Fern gets on stage and performs a flawless cabaret-style rendition of the song Tainted Love.
I was screaming.
But it's not just any version. It is specifically the synth-pop arrangement popularized by Soft Cell.
Okay, yes, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because this is where the show goes from a fun historical drama to a complete mind-bending thriller.
I was sitting on my couch watching this scene, and I literally had to hit pause. I'm sitting there doing the mental math.
The math is not mathing.
It really isn't. Tainted Love, the version by Soft Cell, came out in 1981. It is a defining, massive 80s hit. It is driven by synthesizers, which didn't even exist in the mainstream consciousness in the 20s.
Nope.
We are in 1925. How in the actual hell does a 1920s flapper girl know the tempo, the cadence, and the arrangement of an 80s synth pop hit?
She has to know someone from the future. There is absolutely no other logical explanation.
The cultural cross-contamination is undeniable.
She has to. It has to be Tessa, right? Or Alice. Someone from the 70s or 80s timeline has crossed paths with Fern, sat her down, and taught her that song.
Exactly.
And think about the lyrics of Tainted Love. Sometimes I feel I've got to run away, I've got to get away from the pain you drive into the heart of me.
Oh, wow.
It perfectly underscores our thesis of escapism. The song itself is about running away from a toxic situation. Fern is singing a song about escapism given her by a time traveler who is also escaping.
It is the biggest red flag that Fern knows exactly what is going on with the time travel mechanic.
Oh, she definitely knows.
Yep.
She is not an innocent bystander in this temporal loop.
Because right after that musical number, the reality of the 20s crashes the party. Cliff Kane, who is the new temperance officer, and who's also heavily, undeniably flirting with Fern, by the way.
Oh, the chemistry is wild.
He comes in and warns them that an impending police raid is about to happen. He's giving them a head start to run before the doors are kicked in.
Right. And what does Fern do? Does she panic? Does she grab Kat, her descendant, and escape to safety through the back alley?
Absolutely not.
No. She goes back inside for a grand finale. But her grand finale has nothing to do with singing. She specifically spikes Kat's drink.
It was so dark.
She slips something into Kat's cup, hands it to her with a smile, watches Kat pass out, and leaves her there to wake up behind bars in a 1920s jail cell.
I screamed at the television, the cold, calculated betrayal of it all.
Utter emotional outrage. I was ready to throw my throw pillows across the room. Your own blood relative. She roofied her own descendant. That is not family bonding.
It's really not.
That is a toxic family dynamic on a level we have not even seen yet on this show, and this show is built on toxic family dynamics.
It's definitely not what you want from your great-grandmother, or whatever exact relation she is. You expect maternal protection, and instead you get a chemical sedative and a jail sentence.
Literally.
Which perfectly brings us to our first official segment of the recap, the timeline headache scale.
Oh, I am ready for this.
On a scale of clear and simple to I need a whiteboard and intensive therapy, how are we rating the mechanics of the 1925 storyline this week?
Oh, I am completely off the charts. I am at an 11 out of 10. The math isn't mathing, the logic is failing, and my brain is actively short-circuiting.
I literally need a spool of red string and a corkboard to track this, because the timeline is folding in on itself.
It is.
Besides the 1981 song Anomaly, Kat realizes something huge right before she gets drugged. Both Fern and Tessa are wearing the exact same bracelet. It has this very distinct, identifiable key charm on it.
The key charm.
So Kat directly confronts Fern and says, "You know Tessa. You have her bracelet." And Fern looks her dead in the eye without blinking and claims she doesn't know a Tessa.
So this is where the logic splinters.
Yeah.
Is she lying? Is Fern just a pathological liar who drugs her family members to protect her own secrets?
Probably.
Or, and this is what makes my brain genuinely hurt,
Mm.
has Fern just not met Tessa yet in her personal chronological timeline?
Exactly. Because time isn't linear for these people, we are dealing with causality loops. If Tessa time travels from the 70s to the 20s, she might meet Fern next week from Fern's perspective, but from Kat's perspective, the bracelet is already there.
It's too much.
The timeline headache scale is at an absolute maximum.
You know what it is? It's not just a puzzle. It's like a computer rewriting its own code while the program is still actively running. Every time someone steps into the pond, they introduce a new variable that forces the entire timeline to recompile.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And trying to track it feels exactly like trying to figure out who owes what after a 12-person group dinner.
Oh, that is the perfect, most anxiety-inducing analogy. I hate group dinners.
Right. You're at the table. 3 people only ordered a side salad and a tap water. 4 people aggressively split a bottle of overpriced wine. Someone threw down a crumpled $50 bill and left early.
Always one of those.
And someone else is saying they'll Venmo you, but you know for a fact they never do. It is mathematically impossible to solve. Someone is definitely lying to save themselves money, and you just want to go cry in the bathroom.
That is painfully accurate.
That is exactly how I feel watching the 1925 storyline. Someone is lying, the math is broken, and I am stressed.
It's exhausting. But as messy as the 20s are, let's jump forward a few decades, because the 1970s storyline was its own specific, devastating brand of chaos.
Okay, we have to talk about Alice. Because my heart is breaking into a million tiny pieces for this girl.
She is really going through it.
She jumps into the pond, attempting to escape her present-day teenage drama, and lands in 1976. And the first thing she sees is Fern Landry.
Who, side note, is played by Charles Vandervaart from Outlander, and the casting on this show is so terrifyingly good, he looks exactly like he could be Colton's brother.
He really does. The genetic believability is top tier.
But what's fascinating here from a narrative perspective is that Griffin rides up on a motorcycle, he sees Alice running full speed toward the pond, and he just smiles.
He smirks.
He gives this very specific, knowing smirk. He definitely knows about the pond's properties. You don't just see a teenager sprinting into a murky body of water fully clothed and smile fondly unless you know it's a time portal.
Exactly. If you saw that in real life, you'd call for help. He knows the secret.
He has to.
But then Alice jumps back into the pond, right? Because she's trying to calibrate her jumps. And the pond, which is apparently acting like a complete menace today, spits her right back out. But it's 2 years later. It's 1978.
Which is wild.
She walks back to the farm, and Evelyn now has a 2-year-old toddler named Louie.
And this is where the physical reality of time travel really slaps Alice across the face. The rules are changing.
It is devastating. She has this heartbreaking, visceral realization that time is violently speeding up in the past. Evelyn, Colton, Dillfish, they're all growing up, hitting milestones, and moving on without her.
Yeah, she's stuck.
And she can't keep showing up every few years looking exactly the same age. She can't keep explaining why she isn't aging while they're entering new phases of adulthood. She is fundamentally losing her found family.
Which perfectly bridges us into our emotional damage report segment, because that specific realization and the scene that followed it hit incredibly hard.
I was an absolute wreck.
No.
Because you have to look at the psychology of Alice. She found a place in the past where she finally belonged. She found this pure, untainted, idyllic version of her family and her friends, before the trauma broke them.
And now the pond is taking it away.
The relentless, unstoppable march of time is just ripping it away from her. The pond isn't just a portal. It feels like it's acting as an immune system, slowly but surely rejecting her to heal the timeline.
That's a dark way to look at it, but honestly true.
And then it gets infinitely worse, because she overhears that private conversation by the fire pit between Dell and Colton.
Oh, that was a remarkably heavy scene for a show that also features magical ponds.
Dell is quietly sobbing in the dark, telling Colton they've been actively trying to conceive a baby for 3 agonizing years.
Yeah.
And she admits that it's absolute torture for her to be around Evelyn's baby, Louie, all the time.
It was rough to watch.
It just hit me so hard in my chest because it gives so much real visceral depth to present-day Dell's pain. When you realize that she didn't just lose her family later in life, but that she struggled so deeply and painfully just to start her family in the first place, the layers of her grief are staggering.
Yeah, that adds a lot of context.
I was legitimately weeping into my wine glass. The emotional damage report is astronomical.
Okay, see, I'm going to push back here a little bit.
Really? How can you push back on that?
Yes, the emotional damage report is high for the fertility struggle. That is genuinely heartbreaking, and it provides incredible context for Dell's defensive, hardened exterior in the present day. But, I'm sorry, I know we are deep in our feelings, but I am way more focused on the sheer, unabashed criminality of Tessa right now.
Oh my God, Tessa at the diner? Wait, you don't think she's justified?
Justified. She is acting like an absolute supervillain. Alice and Evelyn go to Coyle's diner to catch up, and their waitress is Tessa, Elliot's future mother, the woman who we know eventually abandons him.
Right.
And she is acting incredibly sketchy.
But look at the context.
The context is felony theft. Alice catches Tessa straight up embezzling money from her employer.
I mean, she was just taking a little from the register.
She is brazenly skimming cash, stuffing it into the pockets of her apron, and when she sees Alice watching her commit this crime, she doesn't panic. She just puts a finger to her lips and shushes her.
It was very ominous.
Like, keep your mouth shut, kid, or you're next. And then, to top off the villainy, she quotes Alice in Wonderland. She literally looks at her and says, "If you don't know where you are going, anywhere will get you there."
And she clocks Alice as a wayward soul. She looks right through her.
She absolutely knows about time travel, and she recognizes a fellow traveler. But my critical question is, why is she hoarding cash? What is the mechanic of her escape? Who is she running from?
That is the million-dollar question.
You don't systematically skim the register at a small-town diner unless you are building a go bag to disappear in the middle of the night.
Okay, but wait, let me push back on this because I don't buy that she's just a one-dimensional villain. We're talking about the late 70s. What if she's skimming money because she's in danger and has no other structural recourse?
Interesting.
Women's financial independence was incredibly precarious back then. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act only passed in 1974. If she needed to run from a dangerous situation, cash was her only lifeline.
That's fair.
Look at the historical mob ties in this town. What if she's running from the Augustin family or the Goodwin family's bootlegging connections?
That is a fascinating sociological point, actually. It's highly possible she is trapped in a systemic issue, not just a personal moral failing, which makes her connection to Vic Augustin even more wild and tragic.
Oh, sweet Vic.
Because later in the 70s timeline, we see Vic Young, innocent Vic, leave a massive tip for Tessa to cover what she's stealing, and he asks her out on a date. He is so sweet, so smitten, completely unaware of the chaos she is harboring.
He was. It was such a tender moment. But we know how that ends. It ends in absolute devastation. Which brings us back to the present day, where delusion and escapism are the overriding themes of the week.
The present-day storyline was an absolute psychological mess. Let's start with Elliot and Kat's romantic getaway, which I use the word romantic very loosely to describe.
Romantic is an incredibly strong word for what that was. It was a hostage situation disguised as a vacation. Elliot decides they need a break from the timeline drama again, escapism. So he takes Kat to his colleague's cabin in the woods, a cabin with 0 cell service, which is a massive glowing red flag in any relationship.
Never go to a secondary location without cell service.
Never. And the walls are completely covered in mounted taxidermy fish.
The interior design was aggressively, violently bad.
I was physically gagging. I would have walked right back out to the car.
Yeah.
You cannot propose a lifetime of happiness to me in a room where 14 dead fish with glass eyes are staring at me from mahogany plaques.
It kills the mood.
It's an omen. The dead fish represent his stagnant emotional state.
And yet Elliot really tried to force the narrative. He brought the Augustin family ring. He is hyping himself up in this hyper-masculine, isolated space, and he drops the absolute bombshell on Kat that he wants to start a family with her. He wants biological kids of his own.
Which, okay, if we zoom out, I understand Elliot's desire. He wants the family he never had. But Kat's reaction was so incredibly real and grounded.
Yeah, she wasn't having it.
She was completely blindsided. Think about her psychological state. She is currently going through the emotional turmoil of sending her teenage daughter Alice off to college. The nest is finally emptying.
She's done with the diaper phase.
She is just getting her identity back outside of motherhood, and Elliot is like, hey, let's reset the clock and start over with a newborn.
It was tone deaf. She literally looked at him and said, we need to table the discussion. The rejection was palpable. It was thick in the air.
Ooh.
Elliot just awkwardly pockets the ring. It was painfully cringe to watch, but it also highlighted how completely misaligned they are on what the future looks like.
It was the ultimate struggle life moment. Which means it is time for our next segment, soft life or struggle life.
Yeah.
We need to evaluate the coping mechanisms of these characters and assign categories based on this week's unhinged behavior. Who is thriving and who is barely holding it together?
Let's do it. I'll start with Noah. Noah is officially, unequivocally entering the struggle life.
Oh, absolutely.
He drops the bomb on Alice and Max that he is opening a brick-and-mortar restaurant. Which, great, ambitious for a teenager, but the restaurant is 5 hours away.
5 hours.
And he's moving next week. Moving 5 hours away to open a highly volatile hospitality business while you are still legally a teenager is pure, chaotic, unadulterated struggle. His prefrontal cortex is not developed enough for commercial real estate.
Exactly. And Max, who's clearly the only person in this entire town with a fully developed brain and an ounce of pragmatism, points out the giant, waving red flags of starting a long-distance relationship right before entering college.
Finally, a voice of reason.
But Alice is totally delusional and blindly supports the move.
Because Alice is secretly in love with Max, she wants Noah out of the way.
They literally almost kissed in the pond later. The romantic tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife.
The geometry of this teenage love triangle is exhausting. Okay, next up, Vic, Elliot's dad. I am officially assigning Vic to the secretly soft life category.
Oh, hot take. Explain your methodology.
Think about it logically. He just got back from a tropical honeymoon with his new wife. He sits down with Dell. They actually communicate their feelings like healthy, adjusted adults, and he makes peace with her over the lies they told Elliot to protect him.
That was a really good scene.
Right. He is actively healing his generational trauma, he's setting firm boundaries, and he's happily married. Growth. That is peak soft life energy. He is doing the work.
You know what? You are absolutely right. I see it. Good for Vic. He is breaking the cycle. Okay, Kat. I am putting Kat in the ultimate struggle life category.
Zero argument there. She is the poster child for the struggle.
Look at her plate right now. Her boyfriend is trying to propose with a haunted ring in a dead fish cabin and wants a baby she absolutely does not want. Her daughter is wrapped up in a messy, timeline-spanning teenage love triangle.
And she's in jail.
And, oh yeah, she is currently lying completely unconscious on the cold stone floor of a 1920s jail cell after being chemically subdued by her own grandmother. That is the peak of the struggle mountain. There's no soft life to be found there.
It really is bleak. And finally, we have Fern. Fern is the soft life queen.
Wait, I need you to justify this. The woman who just drugged her own granddaughter and left her for the cops, she gets the soft life title.
Yes, because she is entirely unbothered by the moral weight of her actions. She's wearing fabulous beaded flapper outfits. She's performing fully choreographed musical numbers at secret exclusive speakeasies.
Well, the outfits are great.
She's flirting with the handsome temperance officer, and when complex interpersonal problems arise, she just drugs them and locks them in a cell so she doesn't have to deal with them.
That is so unhinged.
She is operating on her own completely detached wavelength, and honestly, from a purely self-preservation standpoint, I respect the villainy. She refuses to struggle.
She is aggressively manifesting her reality, no matter who gets hurt in the process.
Yeah.
I love the twisted logic of that. But we really need to pivot and talk about what Vic revealed to Elliot, because it completely shatters and reshapes the entire Tessa narrative.
This was undeniably the biggest lore drop of the episode. Vic finally, after decades of silence, tells Elliot the brutal truth about why Tessa left.
And it was bad.
Dell and Colton had told Elliot this romanticized, tragic lie that Tessa ran away with Griffin for true love, a star-crossed lovers narrative. But Vic says no. Tessa literally walked up, left baby Elliot on the Landry porch like a package, walked away, and explicitly told Vic to his face that he wasn't fit to be a parent.
It's so incredibly cold. The psychological damage that inflicts on a child is immeasurable. And then Vic reveals this massive clue. Years later, he received a typed letter from Tessa.
Yeah, that part is wild.
It came with the Augustin family ring enclosed in the envelope, and the typed letter said she didn't have much time left to live.
Let's analyze the forensics of that for a second. A typed letter, that feels so incredibly suspicious to me. In a mystery narrative, a typed letter is a massive red flag.
Because there's no handwriting.
Exactly. Anyone could have typed that. You don't have to verify handwriting. Someone could have murdered Tessa, taken the ring off her finger, and typed that letter to throw Vic off the trail and close the case permanently.
Oh my God, you are sending me down a true crime spiral. That makes so much sense.
And the clues just keep piling up around the Augustin family. Elliot finds that mysterious mantle clock hidden inside the wall, right? And it plays the song Beautiful Dreamer. Specifically, one of the hands hit 11:11.
11:11.
And Vic just casually mentions, oh yeah, Tessa always told us to make a wish at 11:11.
That is not a random coincidence. That clock is a programmed message. It's psychological conditioning. Everything in this show is a meticulously crafted puzzle box, which leads us perfectly into our conspiracies and suspects segment.
Let's hear it.
Because we need to connect the dots on the Lingermore tunnels, because I think it ties directly into Tessa's fate.
Okay, let's unpack the tunnel theory. Because last week, Alice brought back that random bullet casing she found buried in the dirt in the Lingermore tunnels during the 70s timeline.
Right. And Kat, who is doing more rigorous historical research than an actual tenured archivist right now, realizes that Grayson Goodwin Evelyn's grandfather had major documented ties to organized crime in the 1920s.
They literally name-dropped Al Capone in the script.
Yes. And Cott discovers that Grayson had matching guns to that exact bullet casing Alice found.
Let's look at the historical context of Port Haven. During Prohibition, coastal towns or towns near the border were massive hubs for bootlegging. If Grayson Goodwin is running liquor for Capone, those tunnels are smuggling routes.
Makes total sense.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, while Kat was at the Speakeasy, right before she got drugged by Fern, she overheard the Augustine Boys Vic's ancestors talking in hushed tones about handling someone that night. It sounded exactly like a mob hit.
So let's construct the theory. Do we think Tessa and Griffin jumped back to the 20s to escape the 70s, got caught in the middle of a literal mob shootout in the Lingermore tunnels involving the Goodwins and the Augustines, and that's why Tessa died and Griffin disappeared?
It makes terrifyingly perfect sense. If Tessa was running from the 1970s skimming money to build her go bag, maybe she jumped to the 20s and immediately crossed the wrong bootleggers.
Oh, wow.
The Augustin boys might have literally handled her, which is a wild, tragic paradox considering she married into their family in the future. The family she married into is the family that murdered her in the past.
My brain is vibrating at a frequency that is probably unhealthy. This show is so layered.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about the baby daddy conspiracies, which are tearing the internet apart.
Yes. The biological paradoxes of time travel. Who is the father of Fern's child? By extension, who is Colton's father?
The fan forums are going absolutely feral over this. Let's look at theory number one. Cliff Kane, the temperance officer.
The circumstantial evidence is incredibly strong. Think back to previous episodes. We saw a pocket watch that Griffin sent in the mail with his wedding invitation back to Colton and Dell, which went into the time capsule.
The pocket watch, right?
And Cliff Kane, in the 1920s timeline, has a very prominently featured distinct pocket watch. Plus, there is the blatant, undeniable chemistry and flirting with Fern at the Speakeasy.
I buy it. It's clean. It makes narrative sense. But there's a much wilder theory that I want to test on you. Is Sam Bishop secretly a time traveler?
Okay, I am highly skeptical, but lay out the evidence for Sam. Defend the thesis.
Think about it. Sam is always lurking around the Landry farm, right? He just happens to be there at the most convenient times. In this episode, he and Dell are riding horses, and his horse gets massively spooked right by the path leading to the pond.
Horses get spooked by leaves, though.
No, listen. Animals in literature and film always know when supernatural elements are present. The horse senses the temporal distortion. And then, completely out of the blue, rushing the emotional timeline, he asks Dell to move in with him.
A bit fast, yeah.
Is he trying to geographically get her away from the pond so he can use it undetected? Is he secretly an older version of Griffin? Is he related to Tessa?
Honestly, at this point, the logic of the show is so wonderfully chaotic. that if you told me the horse itself was a time traveler sent to protect the pond, I would probably nod and believe you. The pond is a chronological free-for-all.
Which brings us to my absolute favorite segment of the show. If we lived here,
Oh, this is always fun.
if you and I were magically dropped into the town of Port Haven, knowing everything we know about the timeline, the drama, and the secrets, what roles would we play? Who are we trusting, and what are we inevitably messing up?
I know exactly what my strategy is. If I lived in Port Haven, I would 100% be running a low-level financial scam with Tessa at Coyle's Diner.
Of course you would.
I would be right there beside her, observing the chaos, skimming the register, saving up to buy that decent aesthetic water bottle we talked about earlier, and actively avoiding the Augustin boys at all costs. I'm keeping my head down, taking the cash, and minding my business. I am not getting involved in generational time wars.
You are so incredibly toxic, and I respect the hustle. Okay, if I lived in Port Haven, I would be a complete and utter disaster. I wouldn't last a day.
Oh, definitely not.
I would accidentally trip and fall into the pond while trying to take a golden hour selfie for Instagram. I'd get transported to 1925, completely panic about the lack of modern amenities, and immediately demand to speak to the manager because the humidity of the time travel portal absolutely ruined my expensive blowout.
You would be screaming at a dangerous Prohibition-era bootlegger about frizz control and demanding a refund for a time jump you initiated.
Literally. Excuse me, Al Capone, do you have a Dyson Airwrap?
And I would definitely not trust Fern to make my drinks. I would be holding my hand firmly over my cup the entire time. No, thank you, Grandma. I brought my own White Claw. Please step away from my beverage.
You'd be locked in that 1920s jail cell with Cat by sunset. You wouldn't survive the raid.
Oh, for sure. We'd be sharing a cot, trying to figure out how to Venmo someone to bail us out, completely ignoring the fact that smartphones haven't been invented yet. Well, as we wrap up this absolute spiral of a recap, I just have to marvel at how incredibly messy the Landry and Augustine families are. Every time you think you finally have a firm handle on the family tree and the timeline, they introduce a time-traveling, literature-quoting waitress who embezzles from a diner or a grandmother who drugs her descendants.
It is the absolute best kind of narrative chaos. And honestly, the central mystery of who is actually in those ripped photos is tearing the fandom apart.
It really is.
Are there two separate ripped photos? Is Griffin ripped out of one and Elliot ripped out of another? We need the answers, and the show is expertly withholding them.
We really do need answers. But, to bring this entire discussion full circle back to our core thesis of escapism and our own life spirals, I think there's a profound lesson here buried under the supernatural drama.
Okay, hit me with it.
Elliot is holding so tightly onto this idealized, perfect version of his mother, Tessa, even when all the historical evidence points to her being an incredibly flawed, dangerous person who abandoned him. He doesn't want to face the reality of who she is, so he escapes into a fantasy.
Oh, I see exactly what you're doing. You're psychoanalyzing yourself.
I am. It's the exact same psychological mechanism with me holding on to the idea of full-time dentistry. I'm holding on to the idealized version of societal stability, even when the daily reality of it is making me miserable.
Wow.
Sometimes you just have to face the music, even if that music is an anachronistic 1980s synth pop song playing inexplicably in a 1920s speakeasy, and make a massive, terrifying change for your own peace. You have to stop escaping and start living.
Wow. Look at that pivot. From reality TV trash and hair masks to profound, actionable life advice. You really did that. I fully support you. I support your part-time soft life dreams, and I support Elliot finally dropping that haunted fish cabin ring and facing his reality.
Thank you. I feel weirdly validated. But before we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final lingering thought to spiral over this week.
Okay, let's hear the final thought.
We talked about escapism, but think about the mechanics of the pond. If the pond only takes you where you need to go, and it deliberately spit Alice out 2 years late to distance her from her friends, is the pond simply acting as a passive portal? Or is the pond acting as a biological immune system, slowly and purposefully rejecting the time travelers to heal the timeline from the infection of their presence? Think about it.
Oh my God. Chills. I'm going to be staring at the ceiling thinking about that tonight. If you've been spiraling over these timeline headaches right along with us, you are not alone. Please remember to subscribe, rate the show 5 stars because we are deeply fragile and require external validation, and share this with your absolute messiest friend.
Go wash out your hair masks, pour a glass of whatever you have left, and romanticize your beautiful, chaotic lives. Stop escaping and start living.
We love you guys so much. Stay cozy, stay a little unhinged, and we will see you on the Snark side.